Hello, everybody. Brian Engelman here with the New American Media and the Unhappy Hour, where Indians, Cavs, Browns, and Buckeye fans get together and talk about the sports and the craziness for all of the NBA. But it seems like if you're a basketball fan, it's pretty much all Cavs all day. Yeah, the Warriors have won 2 of the past 3 championships, but it's kind of all about LeBron and Kyrie and what's going on in Cleveland. So we're bringing back Zak Baris to break it all down for us. Zach, just jump in. What's the latest with this? You were telling me about a tweet from yesterday. Tell us what's going on.
Yeah, I tweeted yesterday. This is something involving, I tend to think this is the trade that's going to wind up going down. Again, I could be wrong, but based on my knowledge, I reported it yesterday, and then, I tweeted it yesterday afternoon, and then Sam Amico wound up tweeting it a few hours later as well. But I had tweeted out, he then sent it out, and just confirming what I had been saying all along was a trade involving Eric Bledsoe, Josh Jackson, and a pick from Phoenix for Kyrie Irving. If you're the Cavaliers, it's a good trade. Here's the thing. Don't forget, the Cavaliers on draft day almost pulled a trade for Eric Bledsoe, would have turned Josh Jackson over to Indiana, and would have turned that into Paul George. Imagine that. However, this allows Cleveland not only at one point to focus on the present, having Bledsoe, having Derrick Rose on the roster, but also having a guy like Josh Jackson backing up LeBron. And God forbid, if the Cavaliers feel they need to trade for a veteran presence to get over the hump, Josh Jackson is a highly coveted player.
So he would be a very nice asset to have in the bag of tricks.
Yes. And you can move him. You have movable contracts as well. Guys like Channing Frye is definitely a movable contract. You have movable contracts on there. Even a guy like Shumpert. So if Jackson's having a decent season, especially for a rookie, which, again, I say rookies don't make usually a positive impact the rookie season. It's very rare. I think you're going to see one rookie this year make a highly positive impact this year, and I think it's going to be Lonzo Ball.
Yeah, he's looking good in summer games.
I've always liked Lonzo. The one thing that worried me was never him as a passer, was him as a shooter, because he has a slow release. But again, he's always been a good shooter. But again, going against the NBA guys, his slow release might hurt him, but he's a great passer. And we watched him. He could do it all. He reminds you a lot of Jason Kidd.
Right.
Except with the possibility of him being a better shooter than Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd was never a great shooter.
Well, a different frame too. Lonzo could fill out a little bit and kind of.
Yeah, don't forget. Yeah, Lonzo's a 19-year-old kid.
Right.
He's got a lot of potential. I really like Lonzo Ball. I think his dad put had a lot of negative impact. I think at one point he was easily. Personally as a prospect, I've always liked Markelle Fultz, but I always thought Lonzo showed a lot more at UCLA than Fultz showed at Washington. Now, Fultz has an extremely high ceiling, but Ball, we watched what Ball could do at UCLA. He was fantastic. He took one of the worst offenses in the country and turned it into the best offense in the country.
Right.
That's something he did there. So, but getting back to the Kyrie trade front, I think, I just don't see the Andrew Wiggins and Dang being a legitimate trade option for Cleveland. I don't think Andrew Wiggins is that good, and I don't think the Cavaliers highly covet Andrew Wiggins. I think there's some bad blood from when the Cavaliers traded him the first time, and Wiggins is a restricted free agent in 2 years. Could easily just walk out the door. Sign a one-year qualifying offer and then walk out the door. I don't think he's that good anyway.
That's true, but Kyrie's signed for 2 more years, and he's pulling this crap on it. He's doing it too. So I guess any player could do this, whether they're under contract or not.
Yeah, I personally, I don't understand what's going through Kyrie's mindset. I couldn't tell you in the slightest. I really don't.
Let me ask you this about Kyrie. What I heard is that he got salty that the Cavs were talking about trading him to the Suns. And that's where this stems from, that he was on the trading block for Paul George. And Paul George talked to LeBron, and LeBron would not commit. So Paul George backed out of the deal, and then the news leaked back to Kyrie that he was on the chopping blocks. And now Kyrie's saying, well, get rid of me then. So
I don't believe that's what happened. I believe what happened is that Kyrie was already unhappy. The Cavaliers then attempted to trade him then. I don't think – I tend to think that the information is getting skewed a little bit from different media outlets. Yeah. I don't think everybody knows the truth. I tend to think that Kyrie's just genuinely unhappy playing alongside LeBron. Kyrie's one of those guys that when LeBron wasn't on the floor, the Cavaliers sucked.
Yeah, no. It doesn't make a lick of sense to me. Switching gears – well, hang on. Staying with LeBron and Kyrie – are you buying the reports that LeBron's talking about kicking Kyrie's ass? Like, these things are leaking out now.
I'm buying I don't know about that exactly, but I'm buying the report that LeBron's pissed. Let's not forget, guys, their entire career, at least since his Miami days, since 2010, have given up millions and millions and millions of dollars to play alongside of LeBron James.
Right. Because he makes everybody better. And Kyrie took more shots than
Wayne
LeBron.
Wade do it.
Kyrie led the team in scoring.
Sacrifice, some of his potential to win championship. We witnessed Chris Bosh, Shane Battier, Ray Allen. We've witnessed, Kevin Love coming back to Cleveland. And he didn't have to stay here. That's what I'm getting at right now. You've seen a lot of guys come to Cleveland that didn't have to come play with LeBron. That have wanted to be here. So, you know what? Good riddance to Kyrie Irving if he doesn't want to. I think it's just funny. The other day, basically Kyrie's old roommate and best friend, who I'm a friend of too, his neighbor growing up, tweeted, Instagrammed a picture of Kyrie Irving just bashing Cleveland. And so I decided to comment on it.
Wait, what was he doing?
He just bashed Cleveland an Instagram post and the fans. And so I decided just to comment on it. My comment wasn't even bad. It wasn't directed negatively or anything. I just commented on it, and I said, you know what, I can't speak for all the fans. However, I think you're being ridiculous, and judgmental of all Cleveland fans. Don't forget, there were a few fans that burnt LeBron's jersey. Every fan base has their fair share of idiots.
Kyrie-ridiculous is how I say he's acting.
Mm-hmm.
So what?
And he deleted my comment.
Well, I just look. We got a train wreck here. What are the chances they call a meeting and square this stuff away?
It's possible. I tend to think he's just going to get traded, and he might be on the roster. If they can't find a viable trade option, he will be on the roster.
Yeah,
that's trading for a bag of balls.
Yeah, that's what I'm expecting, and then things will heat up around the trade deadline. I don't know. The whole thing's a mess. Let me talk about something substantial here. That's not a like recess or locker room talk in high school or something. Derrick Rose, former MVP, injury-plagued, coming off a pretty decent season last year with the Knicks. He signs with Cleveland for what, $2.1 million 1 year? Mm-hmm. Break it down. What are the pros? What are the cons? What's the end game here? What's the goal?
To win a championship. I don't see any cons in the deal. I said for $2.1 million, you're looking at a guy who averaged 18 points a game last year.
Yeah.
And 4.5 assists. I don't see the downside.
And his preferred position is
point guard.
So is he now? But we just can't rely on him because of his injuries.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You've never been able to. That's the problem. He's always been injury prone. But however, you keep him healthy and you're not playing him 35 minutes a game. He got run down under Tom Thibodeau. Yeah. That's what happens. And and by the way, I'd love to see Kyrie in Minnesota in Tom Thibodeau's system over there. I would love to see that. I'd love to see Kyrie playing 40 to 44 minutes a night. I think it would go over real well for the longevity of his career.
Yeah, exactly. Look, in some of the stuff with Kyrie, thinking back to the Olympics when he challenged Kobe Bryant to one-on-one, and he talks about Mamba mentality. Well, this is like the worst of Mamba mentality, the Shaq and Kobe nonsense. I'm just very curious to see how this is going to shake out. I don't think we give him away, like you said, for a bag of balls. Just give him away because he's crying now, he's whining now. But the flip side of it, though, is we're bashing Kevin Durant for going to join a super team and saying, oh well, in the '90s, players stuck around and built their own thing. What would be wrong with Kyrie saying, look, I want to play an up-tempo offense. I don't want to play, I've done 3 years under what LeBron likes to do. I don't like playing that way. I'm in my prime. I just want to play a different kind of basketball.
It's the fact that it sounds selfish. Kyrie's leaving a team that has been to 3 straight titles, and he's won a championship. It sounds incredibly selfish on Kyrie's end.
It does.
Going, I want to be the go-to guy. I'd rather win 35 games a year. We witnessed Kyrie's best season when LeBron wasn't here. How many games did the Cavs win? 33?
Well, I can't blame all of that on Kyrie, though. To be fair.
But Kyrie was putting up similar numbers. It was... I don't know how much better Kyrie is now than he was a few years ago.
Yeah, the defense hasn't improved all that much.
Kyrie. We've witnessed Kyrie lead the team when LeBron's out. They can't win.
Yeah.
It's pissing me off. People go, well, they should trade LeBron instead. Get the out of here. You're not trading LeBron instead.
But the problem is if LeBron's not actively recruiting other players and they have
LeBron is actively recruiting. He plays calls to Paul George. He plays calls to Jimmy Butler. He recruited Derrick Rose to Cleveland. It's not LeBron's job. He's not the general manager. He will place phone calls when he needs to bring guys over
what's
here.
Coming out now
when Dwayne Wade eventually gets bought out in Chicago, I guarantee you he gets on the phone with Dwayne Wade and brings him to Cleveland, or at least attempts to bring Dwayne Wade to Cleveland. Just book it. If Melo gets bought out, I think Melo's more likely to get traded, but if Melo gets bought out, expect LeBron to be on the phone with him to come to Cleveland.
Right. Well, the rumors that come through, though, are that LeBron is telling people, well, I haven't made a decision on next year, I'm not sure, and he's saying without saying there's going to be no team next year, in which case, why not just move LeBron? Obviously, he's got the no-trade clause, and keep Kyrie and build around that.
I tend to think LeBron will be in Cleveland for the long term. I think he's doing it, as a fact, too, to keep Dan Gilbert on his toes, too. You have to.
I understand that, but this is the downside of that. I do get that, and I agree to that extent, but this is the downside of it.
Unfortunately, we have an owner that's a little nuts.
So is LeBron. He's passive-aggressive like you wouldn't believe. I mean, everybody comes with their baggage, for sure, but
yeah.
I'll take the guy that's always in the NBA Finals. I'll take that.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, Gilbert, I don't love Dan Gilbert as an owner. I don't think most Clevelanders do right now. But, it just is what it is.
He's the only owner that ever brought me a championship, so I'll take it.
I'm not, but it doesn't mean you have to love the guy. I mean, they probably could have multiple ones if we had a different owner.
Well, and if Carlos Boozer wouldn't have done us dirty back in the Gordon Gunn days, I mean, we could play this game forever. I really think that early LeBron with Boozer would have been absolutely phenomenal when they were both peaking. But anyway, I digress. Anything else we need to get into? It's going to be a short show today. Any other rumblings?
I think if you see this Bledsoe deal go down, it gives the Cavaliers a lot of flexibility. It gives them a draft pick back as well. It also gets them a really young player who, if he's coming off the bench and he, puts up good numbers, and the Cavaliers decide to move him for a big time piece, for maybe to Detroit for Andre Drummond at one point.
Every move that we make or consider making, it's how does that help us beat the Warriors?
Imagine if the Cavaliers come out of this, hypothetically, just say at one point mid-season they've got Andre Drummond as their starting five. Okay, suddenly you've got a good defensive team. Now you're shoring up your inside presence. I'm not saying the Drummond trade's going to happen. I'm just saying hypothetically.
Right.
The Josh Jackson gives you a lot of flexibility. It's a guy in Detroit that Stan Van Gundy really liked in Detroit, coming out of the draft. So you might see something.
Oh, okay. What about final thing then, and then we're going to get running. What about Antetokounmpo? I'm hearing rumors that he's not going to re-sign with the team, and the Bucks know it.
I haven't heard anything about that.
Okay, yeah, I'm starting to hear the rumblings, and of course Damian is like, "Are you going to give me credit for saying it first?" I'm like, "Yeah, but we're far away from that. Trade one superstar for another. Trade Kyrie for Giannis, but
Giannis is going to be there for a while. He's going to be a restricted free agent after his next deal. I mean, or no, didn't he just sign a long-term extension?
I'd have to double-check.
I think he just signed a long-term extension.
Yeah. Rumors. This is the silly season, Zach. It's what makes the soap opera of it fun.
Giannis has so much longer anyway before he leaves there. It doesn't even matter. And if Milwaukee puts a quality partner, they've got some quality players. They've got Chris Middleton. They've got Jabari Parker. This isn't all about the big market anymore. Milwaukee's a very young team.
Yeah.
They're very young, and I mean, you can expect them to go and make some moves in the next couple of years, but they are a very young team. They're still not very good offensively. We witnessed that last year in the playoffs against the Raptors. They are just not very good offensively yet. They're a good defensive team. However, they are still a while away from being a highly elite team in the East. It's not their time yet. You remember LeBron was Antetokounmpo is 22 years old.
Yeah, super young.
He's not 26, 27. He's not even close to his peak yet. He's not going to his peak for another 5 to 6 years.
But hey, okay, seriously, final question. But that's the other thing that had me thinking. If this would be our question, I want the people watching the show to leave this, put their comments below. I want to see what you think. Would you rather in 2017, July 25th, 2017, would you rather build a team around a centerpiece of 33-year-old LeBron or 25-year-old Kyrie Irving? What do you say?
LeBron.
Why?
LeBron's a better player who can actually get you to... Okay, how many straight championships has LeBron do? 7?
I lost track.
Kyrie's not a number 1 piece. He's a number 2.
Okay.
not a number one piece. LeBron is.
But he's 7 or 8 years younger. Give me the next 4
years of going to a championship or the next 3 years rather than giving me 0.
Okay.
And also LeBron's durability, knock on wood, compared to Kyrie Irving's.
That's very true as well. Remember, he missed his only season in college with an injury, and it happened.
Don't forget the Cavaliers made the title with very little help from Irving his first year in the playoffs.
Yeah.
He really didn't play much of the Bulls series. He was out most of the Hawks series. He got injured game 1 of the Warriors series.
He was playing a great game in that game 1, though.
Yeah, he was fantastic. But I'm just saying, the Cavaliers still managed to win 2 games without him in that series.
Yeah.
Granted, we probably wouldn't have a championship if it wasn't for Irving, so we'll always be thankful for that. Fans will hate him in the short term because of the trade request, but in 10, 15 years when he retires, people always remember that. That he hit the game-winning shot. The fans in Cleveland forgave Jim Thome, they forgave Manny Ramirez, they forgave Albert Bell of all people.
Yeah. Not Art Modell, though. Hey, forgive LeBron James, but he came back. So, anyway, we'll see how it goes. It's just, the more I think about it, demanding a trade when you have no leverage, when you have at least 2 years in the third player option on your contract left, and then you give a list of 4 teams.
Either. They can go and ship him to Phoenix. They can go and ship him,
Why
he
would
would ship him to Portland, for Damian Lillard. I'm not saying that trade's going to happen, but I'm sure it's definitely one the Cavs would do if they were offered.
Yeah, and just to think about it, though, it's just strange to come in with a list and say, I want to go to these 4 teams. You know what I would say to that person? It wouldn't be polite. So, yeah, we'll see what happens if he gets traded to Siberia and has to play out there, or if he's going to go to one of his preferred teams or just stay on the roster next year. I think that there's going to be a powwow and this is going to get squared away. But, hey, time will tell, and we'll bring you back in to talk about it when there's some more developments. So,
if the Cavaliers don't find a viable trade option, they will have a powwow and will be here next year. I said, Kobe's not an idiot. He's not giving them up for a bag of balls.
Okay. Well, then we're going to have to wait and see how it plays out. And, okay. Well, then
it's that simple. You're not going to see Kyrie Irving traded for a bag of balls or something. The Cavaliers are not one of those teams, and Kobe's been here since the Griffin era, he's not going to, he's been with the organization now for, I believe, 5 years. He's not going to go and get ripped off in a trade. He's not an idiot. He's a very bright guy. He knows what he's doing, and there's a reason why he's the youngest general manager in the NBA. There's a reason why a year ago he was offered the Spurs assistant GM job, and, he's highly coveted, would have wound up getting a GM job next year anyway.
Okay.
I'll just tell you that. He would have next year anyway. He was offered the Spurs assistant GM job a year ago under R.C. Buford, with potentially taking over that organization in a couple of years. He chose not to, and he chose to stay in Cleveland for a reason. He's been a rising star in that organization since he came over here as the player personnel manager. Before that, he was a grad assistant at Columbia.
I'll tell you this much.
He's been a rising star since his days at Columbia. He was a point guard for Middlebury. He is a very, very talented guy. You sit there and talk with him for a few minutes. He's the kind of guy you want running your organization. He's very good at what he does.
Well, good. Then, I'll tell you what, he's coming in at a perfect time to put his signature all over this team because there's a lot of moving parts right now with LeBron's pending free agency next year and this Kyrie thing.
I have faith in Kobe. I have faith in these guys. I don't necessarily have faith in Dan Gilbert, but I like Kobe a lot, and I think he's a great guy. I don't have any bad things to say about him. I think he's a great guy. I think he's got a great basketball mind as well, and I think I think he definitely knows what he's doing, and I think he's put the Cavs in good hands. Don't forget, this is a guy who just got Derrick Rose to come here.
For $2 million,
they can always go and waive Jose Calderon. They're not going to waive Calderon. Kay Felder's likely not going to be on the roster. So having a third point guard that's Jose Calderon isn't the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, it's not the.
Felder's not ready to play in the NBA. I think we witnessed that during Summer League. He's not ready to play in the NBA.
No.
Jose Calderon, having him as your third point guard, is ready to play in the NBA. So, God forbid, you need to get, you need to take Felder off the roster and put him in the D League. Fine.
All right. Well, hey, we're going to see a lot of moves in the next couple months, and you are going to be a part of these conversations. So I appreciate you joining us today, and we'll do this again soon, buddy.
Anytime, Brian.
Go Cavs. Take care.
Take care.